Congratulations for your first closed
Thank you.
session. You said the same thing.
How are you?
Good, good. Well, good luck with your position. I know you'll be much better in the past.
So I don't know if it's changed, that's been a while back, but, and there's some other states that we like now. Scary, huh? Very scary.
Smaller city. Yeah, oh yeah. I just mean, it's a smaller city and less things going on, maybe.
It's already gonna be on the agenda? No, she didn't. I said I want it on the agenda. And then she said.
Probably so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they missed that.
Or then they got to the
I need to get some water.
Oh, yeah.
Do you need water?
I
Oh,
got
you've
one.
got one.
Thank you, though.
Oh, Art. I wanted to talk to you.
It's right there. Because I can see them scroll.
That is a good line, isn't it? Okay.
I'm guessing it is, just with the approval of that.
All right, I'll have them. Jumbo.
Oh, I've been waiting.
I gotta get my pot converted.
So the only time I've ever had over to the small side and everything, restaurants over there, and I had it over there and I loved it.
I'm in Oroville.
You have no. All I gotta do is that one.
Wait. I'm not getting away with that.
Yeah, that's just great.
Hi Marlene, how we doing? Good deal.
We know the answer to that.
Does anybody have any mints? I've got dragon breath.
I have gum. Would you like gum? I have that.
This on your binder there.
Dragon breath,
It's
I
for
can tell.
a letter of support for.
I didn't eat dinner. There's a quarter in there.
There's another one.
Been here since my first reading.
Oh my goodness. They'd probably be good for another 3 years. I know.
This is what we're gonna propose to add to the agenda.
How
It's
are you
regarding
doing,
water,
Linda?
water
I'm doing
technology
okay.
hub in Oroville.
I've been going over every day to see Dad over in Chico. Thank you.
How's your dad doing?
He's not doing well. No, he's.
You know, they did that with the chairs back when, and somebody told me how many chairs they put on there.
Yes. It really is. Honestly, if I were in real estate, I'd only go for that story. Oh, yeah.
It happens instantly.
It does. I would say we have a great
Yeah.
table left. Unhappy.
I think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
You caught me with my pants down in the grocery store.
What do you mean?
I had gone in to buy you a flower.
Oh, I didn't know that. Uh-huh.
I said to Dee, I'm gonna go buy her a flower.
And then I ran into you.
And
What a
you
coincidence.
come behind me and
It's beautiful. Everybody admired it at Easter. And they said it looks artificial. It's so pretty. It's just beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Marley.
well, that wasn't my point. My point was you caught me with my pants down. It
Oh,
was so
no.
funny because I never
You were
see
in
you
the
at the
act.
grocery store.
I know. That's true. It's so funny.
We have something to the agenda. Everybody has their copy.
Janet.
Welcome everybody to the Oroville City Council meeting,
Hills.
April 3rd. What? My microphone is on. I just have gotten too tall. That's it. April 3rd, 2018. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barry.
Here.
Councilmember Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilmember Draper?
Here.
Councilmember Hatley? Councilmember Thompson? Vice Mayor Goodson? Mayor Dahlmeyer?
Here. We have come out of closed session, action taken, no action taken, direction given, and I'm going to turn it over to Attorney Huber for an announcement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following item came to the attention of the City of Oroville staff subsequent to the posting of the agenda for this April 3rd, 2018 regular meeting. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2, staff is requesting that council take action to add this item to the agenda. The action would be add the following item to open session agenda as item number 8, consideration of a letter of support regarding AB 2957, which is the creation of a water technology hub in Oroville. It is legislation that was introduced by Assemblymember Gallagher, and the urgency for this is that there is a committee meeting on April 10 regarding this, and he is requesting that the city come out in support of that. So in order for that to be placed on the agenda, it would need a motion, a second, and an affirmative vote of, given the numbers we have, of everybody.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments?
Oh, and I should add, there are copies of the draft or proposed staff report to be added over on in the corner, by the doors.
Give everybody a couple minutes to read it.
Madam Mayor, Bill Agrone, if I could, just a housekeeping matter while you're reading that. Item number 7, staff is respectfully requesting to have pulled again. This is a voluntary action of the council, and I believe that the entire council should be present when this action is taken for consideration and deliberation. So respectfully, I request that be pulled.
Okay. Item number 7 will be pulled from the agenda this evening.
I'd like to make a motion if everybody has looked at it sufficiently. Are you guys okay? Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we send the letter of support to Assemblymember Gallagher related to AB 2957.
Technically you have to vote to add it to the agenda first.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then,
All right.
and it's going to be item number 8.
Okay. So I move that we add item number 8, sending a letter of support to Assemblymember Gallagher, to the agenda for tonight.
Second.
First and second, voting is open. All votes are in. Voting closed.
Okay, now I'll make a motion
Well,
that
let's deal with that when it comes up as item number 8.
you want to wait till we
Yeah.
get to it. Fine. Okay,
Perfect. Thank
For
you.
housekeeping. Makes it easier for the minutes.
that's fine.
Okay, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Get that out of order. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a proclamation this evening. A very important one, and you know, this is like, he's Mr. Oroville, so I should really let him read it, right? This is a proclamation for the Historic State Theater, and I'm going to let you speak after I read this because that's going to be important. Whereas the historic Oroville State Theater is a source of great community pride and cultural heritage for Greater Oroville, California. Whereas the theater opened on Saturday, April 7th, 1928, to rave reviews and a full house. Whereas the theater became known as the jewel of the downtown district, based upon the grand opening newspaper article the following day. Whereas the Oroville Community Center Committee stage and the City of Oroville collaborated to bring the theater to the people as a community's performing arts center in 1989. Whereas this year, the 90th anniversary of the opening of the theater, whereas the State Theater Arts Guild, on behalf of the community of Oroville, resolves to preserve, protect, and restore the historic edifice. Whereas, in the year of 2018, the Wurlitzer Theatrical Pipe Oregon has been restored to the theater by the community after almost 60 years of silence. Whereas this is an occasion for both celebration and commemoration. Now therefore, I, Linda L. Dahlmeyer, Mayor of the City of Oroville, in concurrence with the Oroville City Council, do hereby proclaim April 7th, 2018, and every April 7th thereafter to be the day of honor for the historic Oroville State Theater from now and forevermore. Hereto I set my hand. Signed, Linda L. Dahlmeyer. Boy, that's a nice name to have on there, huh?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the council. We appreciate it very much. This has been quite an effort. I see Randy Murphy, who was the former city administrator when we kicked off this project, and appreciated the support that we've always received from the city and staff and council. Our big event is, as the mayor said, this Friday night we have the North State Symphony performing at the State Theater for the first time in nearly 7 years. And then Saturday night is the actual unveiling of the Wurlitzer organ to the original silent movie Peter Pan, and a couple of shorts involving Laurel and Hardy. So it's going to be quite a weekend. We certainly appreciate the support that we've gotten from the city.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on, and I'm going this weekend. Is anybody else going? It's awesome, awesome. You know, the Dahlmeyers have been involved in the State Theater for a long time, and I know my mother-in-law would have been really pleased had she been here. So thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Is there any items that anybody wishes to pull off the consent calendar, items 1 through 3? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the consent calendar, inclusive of items 1 through 3.
Second.
Voting's open. All votes are in. Voting closed.
The motion passed.
There are no public hearings this evening, so we're moving on to regular business. Item number 4, DWR correspondence on franchise agreement versus encroachment fee for the power and fiber optic conduit project on Glen Drive. Is there any questions or comments? It's to direct staff as necessary, so if there's, go ahead, Jack.
I believe we had 2 choices in the matter, correct?
Correct.
Take a lump sum or an annual pay. I'd be more inclined to go with an annual payment instead of a lump sum. Granted, it will take 25 years, according to the staff report, to attain that one-time amount. But then after that, we need to plan for the future to keep the payments coming, no matter how long it takes. And there's a automatic 2% increase with that.
That is the guide or the previous agreement that was done with Butte County, so that's the model we're using in this case. DWR does need to agree to it. They have another option. Their initial alignment had it outside of the right-of-way, adjacent to their existing fiber optic line. So they still have that route available to them, and in which case they would just seek an encroachment permit for the crossings. If they choose to go their original route, I'm not sure if they're able to put those lines in their existing permanent easement, or they need to buy additional permanent easement, or if more than likely they need to buy temporary construction easement to install that line. So if they don't want to enter into this franchise agreement, they could move their alignment back to their original plan and take it out of the right of way.
Can you speak a little more closer to the? Bring the microphone
Yes.
down. Bring it. You can move that thing all around. Move it towards you. There you go.
There we go. So that's their option if they don't want to do, if they choose not to do the agreement. Their letter indicates they'd prefer not to do the franchise agreement approach.
Mike, what would the annual payments be under the franchise agreement?
It needs to be an evaluation of the right of way, so we'd have to have a right of way expert help DWR come up with an evaluation of the right of way plus annual encroachment fees. But we think it would, given the length of the alignment in the right of way, it would be somewhere between $800 to $1,300 a year. So that's an estimate at this point.
With a 2% annual escalation.
Right, that was the model agreement we had with Butte County, so.
Okay.
And why do we do with Butte County and we want to do something different here? What's the difference?
I'm not sure. I think, the advantage for the franchise agreement for Butte County is that they can access their utility pretty much anytime they want with just a quick notification. They're essentially, getting that access anytime. Whereas if they had to go into the line for repair, they'd have to submit a specific encroachment permit for the work. We would review it, comment on it, collect fee, and they have that sort of duration to wait for that to happen. Whereas if they have a franchise agreement, they could pretty much enter anytime they needed to.
Talking about Butte County or DWR?
In both cases,
Right.
if we go with the franchise agreement, that is the advantage they're getting in the process.
Councilmember Berry, are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Linda Draper.
I just wanted to weigh in that I like, Jack, also the idea of the payments going on indefinitely. I think it's really wiser in the long term than taking a payoff up front. And of course, that's the reason DWR probably wants us to take the other deal. So anyway, that's just my view.
So mine is a couple of questions, if you might know the answer to, or maybe Tom can weigh in on this, Mr. Landau, excuse me, that, or there is somebody in the audience from DWR. One of my questions is I consider this a benefit, being that we have such a scarcity in broadband, that is there any access point that we as a city or a community will be able to access that fiber network, or that to bring it into the neighborhoods up there that don't have any internet or very limited internet, if anything? And the benefit of doing that is certainly to be able to have access to it.
Mm-hmm. My understanding is this is a dedicated line, both for power and communication between the dam and the operations center there, much like the current line they have. I think my understanding is they're putting in the second line for redundancy, and it's dedicated for their sole use.
So, but opening the trench, we could have, because we have, and actually I think it's going to be brought back here really soon, as the open trench that we never finished off, the ordinance for the open trench.
So we could, one option would be to condition to add another conduit.
Right,
which is often done in order that others could use the conduit that's there for running more lines.
So my assumption is it was already written into this. Are you saying it hasn't been written in, the additional?
That the city would request an additional conduit?
Mm-hmm.
No, that hasn't been brought forward.
So we have an open trench ordinance here, policy that was established with the ordinance, right?
We have my recollection, I'm going from memory, which is fading as I get older, but we do have an open trench policy where once a trench is opened up, it's that they're required to offer that to other utilities, other companies to put a line in as well. So you dig up the street one time. One of the agencies that I work for literally put in a brand new road, and about 2 weeks after that road was installed, one of the utilities came in and said, "We'd like to run a new line," and literally they went and just cut the road, and it was about a month old by the time the road was actually cut. And then about 5 months later, another company came in and said, "We'd like to put in upgraded lines as well." And then there was a second line. So it wreaks havoc. Every time you open up the road, you lower the lifespan of that road.
So we've addressed this, and we need to clarify that that's what our policy is here, and that would be my preference, is to make sure that we have additional conduit in there. And I know Gary was working on that. Do you have anything that you can add?
Madam Mayor, we have started the policy that an open trench for an additional 2-inch conduit be provided for future use and to get the infrastructure going within the city of Oroville. But that has not been completed, but it is back in tuition, and we'll get it done.
So, Mr. Murray, Matt Murray, do you have any, you, sir? Yes. Would you like to speak to this?
Absolutely. Leroy Ellinghouse with the Department of Water Resources, Division of Operations and Maintenance. So there's two folds for us doing this project. One is an encroachment permit is much quicker, and the idea of being able to get this in is much beneficial to us. And again, it is for our sole purposes. This isn't something that...
Please speak into the mic.
This is not something that our legal department thinks is an appropriate type of document for the type of application that we're doing with the fiber optic, especially since it's for our sole purpose. If the board decides or the council decides to move forward with doing a franchise type agreement, we'll probably back away from the encroachment permit and look at a different form of acquisition. It just doesn't fit into the type of work that we do throughout the entire state of California. I mean, you need to understand how many utilities that we deal with, and to be able to keep track of the amount of annual payments that would need to be done would be an extreme burden on the people of California. So that's the reason why we're requesting to go through with an encroachment permit. And if you choose not to do that, we'll probably withdraw our request for it.
So since I had you up here, so I'd like to ask just a couple of questions, because I asked them and Mike answered them, but so when this started several months ago, there was a confusion about whether or not it was going to benefit the community, but the two things that I asked, so this is for your sole purpose, so it'd be like me building a house and having power delivered to my house, or putting a new roof on or something like that. It's a one-time fee.
Absolutely.
Versus a utility franchise, because at a utility franchise, it's for the benefit of everybody. If Correct. We had, so that's the difference here. And just to clarify that this is not, it's still only a single use for the Department of Water Resources. And if there were an additional conduit or additional fiber laid at the time for future use, or, let Comcast or AT&T know that work is being done, that they could actually lay some fiber at the same time, would be of benefit to the community. And if you got your one-time fee, you'd be happy. And if we got our conduit and our additional fiber, we'd be happy, because like you said, it's not about us having a franchise agreement with you because it's a single use. I look at this as like building a house or something. It's a one-time fee for that.
We're completely open to others utilizing that trench. We have no issues with that. We simply need to get an upgraded fiber optic to our field division for the security and safety of our operations.
Okay, Councilmember Draper?
Well, I'm just curious here. Has there historically been a franchise agreement between DWR and any city in the state of California?
We have never entered into a franchise agreement anywhere in California.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
So I, based on this information, because early on I think there was a confusion about what this was for, and we thought we could really have benefits and it was going to, open up all of that, but it really is, it's a dedicated line. So it's like pulling power to your house. Granted, you have to pay for the power, but that's their bill, not ours. So.
Madam Mayor, if I could, Bill Agrone, on this particular item, one thing I think that you should take into consideration and figure is the lifespan of technology as it evolves and changes. You're banking on fiber being the technology for at least 30 years at $1,300 a year. It would take at least 30 years to get to $39,000. Even with the 2% escalator, you're probably still at the $42,000. So you're banking on that technology still being around and utilized at that point. If DWR were to stop using the technology and that line, the franchise agreement would most likely go away. So, it's just something to consider. Technology changes. It changes rapidly. Wasn't so long ago we were all relying upon copper lines, and now we've moved into something else. So just for your consideration, the franchise agreement that is being discussed with Butte County, that was the first time we did that. We moved away from encroachment fees to a franchise agreement. So, the encroachment fee is what we normally used to do, and we did this the one time up there. So that is not the standard. That's kind of the oddball. So anyway, just for your consideration.
Mayor, I was also going to add, Bill, I agree with what Bill said, but
Tom, can you move the microphone in? Yes, there you go.
If you were to take the $42,000 and put it in the investment fund, you would probably get more annually than you would from the annual payment.
So if we could, like I said, my preference would be the $42,000 based on what I understand, but would also like to have the open trench with possibly fiber, and I see our attorney wanting to say something too. If you could get together with staff and maybe discuss if this moves forward on that, because that would be how I would move forward on this, is to make sure that we had a conduit and possibly some fiber with Comcast or something in there.
Again, we wouldn't have a problem with that. We do have some time constraints. If we are going to be doing it with the 13.8 kV project that we have, which is not associated with this is sort of a branch from that. It circles from Hyatt down to Thermalito.
Yeah.
Our option is to cut that portion of it off and look at it as a sole separate project, which is what our option would be if we didn't go through with the franchise agreement. If we're going to continue with this project, which we are on schedule for, with the branching to our field division, we would have to be able to have whoever you want in that trench on board by, say, June.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, if I might, there are a couple of ways. I have 2 points to make. One is on this open trench policy. There are a couple of ways to do it. Typically, the most successful that I've found in other locations is you require whoever the contractor is, who's laying that pipe down, they just lay a second one down at the same time. Right. They're already there. You don't bring somebody else in. The only question that comes into it is who's paying for it to put it in the ground. Who's actually paying for the cost of the pipe itself?
Sure, and we could totally put some pool boxes and all things that are necessary for that to happen and incorporate it in our project that we're doing right now. So if there was a 2-inch conduit that you wanted to have in that trench, we wouldn't have a problem adding that to it as well.
Okay.
The other point I wanted to make is with an encroachment permit, there's another angle that I want to highlight for the council. With an encroachment permit, there is language in our newly revised encroachment permit that on the back of it, it's in, lawyers love fine print, but it's in the fine print. In a franchise agreement, typically if the city decides it wants to move a street or do some construction, the city bears the cost of dealing with whatever pipes are in the ground. Under an encroachment permit, we would call DWR and say, we need to do some work here. You have to take care of your lines. We're going to take care of ours. They would have to take care of their own stuff in the ground. And so the risk in the future
is minimal.
Is transferred from the city to the entity that puts the line, and I'm not pointing at DWR, it's whoever puts the lines in the ground, whether it's Verizon or Cal Water or DWR, whoever, they bear that risk in the future of any future construction, or if we want to move a street or realign a street, they're going to have to deal with their own lines. That's just another factor to consider. Under a franchise agreement, we would be responsible for coordinating all of that and would likely be responsible for the costs of that as well.
So we have those same considerations in our encroachment permit process as well, and we're well aware of it and don't have any issues with it.
Is there any other questions or comments?
I have a question. What direction are we giving?
Oh, we do have a speaker on this one. All of a sudden. Thank you. Thank you. Bobby O'Reilly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. I happen to reside in the area of DWR and State Parks headquarters. When we moved into this location, we could not get phone service, internet service. We had to try to get a satellite internet company in which they wanted to charge us to go to a top of a tree to put a satellite in for internet. Then they could not do that either due to other reasons. So we ended up fighting with Comcast to get Comcast internet there. AT&T stated to us that they could not provide us with any internet, any phone lines, due to the fact that DWR has all of that, and State Parks have all of those dedicated lines tied up to their companies. So I appreciate the fact that you bring to light the nature of helping the community up there. If you're already going to go in and do something that's going to help bring something in, help the community too. My problem is with the response that this gentleman just gave a minute ago that contradicted himself, said that the project was going to be for the sole purpose of DWR. Anything put in there was going to be for the sole purpose, and then changed it to they didn't have a problem putting in something else with the open trench policy. So I want to make sure that that's covered clearly if that moves forward from our perspective from being up there, because it would be really nice to have some good internet service and phone service in that area. Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm gonna answer because I don't believe there was a contradiction. I want to make that clear. What it is you have two conduits. They're pulling one for their own power, and they're going to put another one along the side of it. So you can call Comcast back and say there's new conduit out there. You pull some services up here.
Right.
And by them adding a dedicated line on AT&T, because I've been working on broadband for a long time.
I know it.
You pull the dedicated line for AT&T, they're basically pulling more service up to that neighborhood. And by doing that and now using a larger dedicated line, it's going to release everything that they're already using with AT&T.
Right.
Which will be available for the neighborhood. So take one or the other, you're going to end up, but AT&T services are subpar in our community. And even though that meeting was here when I was on vacation, specifically came here because the quality of AT&T services are below the safety standards of the state in our community. So with all respect, Bobby, he didn't contradict himself. It's two things. In other words, this is their service,
right,
and this is what they're going to, put something else in there that anybody can run any, whether it's a third party or whatever. But getting
right.
service to our community is important.
The way it was stated made it sound the other way, so thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you. So my preference would be to give direction to pay the one-time fee and ask that they put additional conduit, work with Gary or somebody from staff to make sure that happens, even go as far as contacting Comcast. And actually we have political representatives that we can contact and make sure that happens.
And I agree with that, having heard what the DWR representative had to say. I think that's really good.
The problem I have with this is the attorney just told us, though, that then we're on the hook if something has to be changed out with this? If we do a franchise agreement, we're covered, right? Or is
No,
it the opposite
just the
way?
opposite.
Okay,
The opposite.
all right, I just
You do
wanna
the-
make
if you
sure.
do the encroachment,
Mm-hmm.
if you do the encroachment permit,
Okay.
you've pushed off your liability to DWR.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
So is the direction then we're gonna go ahead and move forward with the fee?
It's for me.
Open permit, open trench, the conduit's gonna go in, we're gonna see if we can get some type of fiber in there. If not, you're gonna do the pull boxes and it's all gonna be good for the community up in that area.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, thank you, that's the direction. It's direct staff, there's no vote. Thank you, item number 4 is done. Moving on to item number 5, annual audit services. This is just an additional requirement by the state, is why the fees, actually, they ended up doing more work from my understanding. Ruth, if you want to speak to this, you can, but we're looking for direction. And I do believe it is time to go out for another RFP on this next year, correct?
Next year, yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Ruth? Do we know if other audit services have been equally impacted by these new compliance standards? New pension audit requirements and disclosure requirements?
Absolutely, it's across the board.
Okay, thank you. And second question, how has Siobhan and Associates served the city since October 21, 2014?
They've completed 4 annual audits, and I would say successfully.
All right, thank you. So to keep Siobhan, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, you are.
So the question is to either keep them, and that would be $4,600 would be budgeted for the next fiscal year.
Yes.
What would be the cost to send out new proposals for audit services?
The cost
What
would be
the
all on
cost to the
staff
city?
time.
It would be the staff time,
Yes.
anything else? And so
Just staff
with
time.
those two figures be comparable to what we would be putting out
I think
if
it
we
would be a
were to
wash.
remain with Siobhan?
Yeah, I think it would be a wash with all the staff time to put out an RFP and then to start over with someone new. I think having them served us for 4 years makes the whole audit go smoother. They know us, we know them, and then we could probably get one more successful year, and then we do have to go out to RFP anyway next year.
So if I understand correctly, your recommendation would just be to
that would be the easiest
that would
for
be
me,
the-
but I'm
okay.
I'm here to please the
I
council.
was just curious. Thank you for weighing in.
So we have one more year left.
Yes, one more year.
Got it. But a few years ago, what Councilmember Goodson was referring to is that a few years ago, there was new regulation that came out that recommended that you change your audit companies every 5 to 7 years, I believe. And the city hadn't had a change in theirs in over 20. And same thing with some of the other committees that we sit on. So it's just good business practice and best practices to move on and at least give other opportunities to look at the budget, especially under the circumstances. Looking for a motion?
I move that we recommend to direct staff to budget for the increase of $4,600 in the next fiscal budget.
I'll second that.
There's a first and second. Voting's open. Councilmember Draper?
I already pushed it. It just didn't register.
All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change your vote? Voting closed.
The motion passed.
Moving on to item number 6, professional service agreement between the City of Oroville and Joanna Gutierrez to serve as the interim city clerk.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. This is a consultant agreement with a professional city clerk. She has over 30 years experience. She has extensive experience and education in this area. The city is this year going into an election cycle where our council will, some members will face election again. There was also the potential of 2 tax initiatives and potential charter changes as well that are coming forward.
So we are in desperate need of a professional city clerk to make sure that those things all happen appropriately and correctly so that the election does not become invalidated because of an error on our part. The contract that is before you is for $50 an hour plus $175 a month for a vehicle. That was in lieu of mileage. It's actually a little bit cheaper than what the mileage would have cost us if we paid that, so we were able to get a little bit better deal on that. This contract is for 24 hours a week. The individual will not exceed $48,375, the cost of this contract. She will be here to provide those services. She'll also provide the additional added value service of helping us select our assistant city clerk, train the assistant city clerk, and then mentor the assistant city clerk that we'll be moving through. So this is, staff is recommending that you approve the contract and that we move forward on this. This particular individual is going to be available starting tomorrow if the council approves this. It's for a maximum of 9 months, starting tomorrow through December 31st of 2018. So I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Any questions or comments? Looking for a motion.
Move we adopt resolution 8692 and agreement number 3247.
Second.
All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
The motion passed.
Thank you. Item number 7 was pulled, but we do have a new item on the agenda, and it's called item number 8.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I appreciate you adding this item. We received a request from Assemblymember Gallagher for support for AB 2957, which would create a water technology hub in the city of Oroville. Attached to the staff report is a summary that the Assembly Member's office has prepared, as well as a draft letter of support. I do have the full text of the bill in front of me. There are a couple of ways this will establish a water technology hub in Oroville. A couple of mechanisms. The first one is it will give some tax incentives to businesses to relocate here that are in the water conservation, water delivery service, water technology service. It'll give them some tax incentives to locate within the city of Oroville. Number 2, it requests that the bill requests, it doesn't mandate, but it requests that the University of California system open, the UC system, that they open a satellite campus here in Oroville. With the two of those things, that combined will create a water technology hub in Oroville. So Assemblymember Gallagher has asked for the city's official support, and the urgency was that there is this legislation is scheduled to be heard in the Assembly Committee on Water, Parks, and Wildlife on a week from today, on Tuesday, April 10th. Happy to answer any questions if I can. I'm not well versed. I'm not well versed in the legislation, but I did read it.
Councilmember Draper.
Okay, I really like it. I think that Oroville is a logical place for something like that, so I really like it. On a minor comment here, in the second paragraph, it says cycles of drought followed by heavy participation, and I think you meant precipitation.
The second paragraph,
where it says California faces many challenges when it comes to maintaining and
the letter
enhancing
itself.
background.
That's actually their,
it's the one the mayor's going to sign.
Yeah,
and
right.
the one she'll sign. It's the second paragraph, and it says cycles of drought followed by heavy participation.
Oh yeah.
And you just might want to fix that as well.
Oh no, I definitely want to fix that. That's a great. That's a great catch.
Question: do you know if this is? I've heard of this. Is this a part of the water conservation that Israel has been working on? Well, they've actually done it. Water conservation.
I think
is this a piggyback off of that.
I think this may be a piggyback on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know. The real answer is I don't know.
For agricultural purposes.
But I think this may be a piggyback on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Looking for a motion.
I'll make another motion for this, that we send a letter of support to Assemblymember Gallagher related to AB 2957.
I second that.
There's a first and second. Voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change? Voting closed.
The motion has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was a pretty short meeting, wasn't it? Council and committee reports. You may give a verbal report at this time. So, anybody?
Just very quickly, I attended the sewer meeting last week, and I was also one of the judges at the annual Butte County Spelling Bee. It was hosted by the Paradise Rotary Club last week, and I'm proud to say that this year's first and second place recipients went to two students from Oroville schools, Central and Oakdale Heights. And they will be going on to state.
Awesome.
Yes.
Anybody else?
I'm in the queue, I think.
Oh, I thought your name just stayed there. There you go.
The only committee meeting I attended is not one I'm assigned, but it was for the Haven of Hope on Wheels that Pastor Kevin Thompson has been working on, and he has been a force to be reckoned with. And we had our second meeting. It lasted about 2 hours. Ed Mayer from the Butte County Continuum of Care for the Homeless was there, along with his new coordinator, Jennifer Griggs. And we had probably a dozen people from throughout the community. And if any of you are so inclined, you can go on Facebook, and they have a GoFundMe page for the Haven of Hope on Wheels. And what this will be is a truck that they're getting the money together to buy that will have showers and facilities for the homeless to do laundry. And it will circulate throughout Butte County, so it's not just an Oroville thing. And they're already doing this in the Bay Area and Southern California to great success. And the really neat thing about it is it enables these people to get cleaned up, to go in and apply for services or anything that they may be entitled to participate in, and not feel that they're not acceptable in public because they aren't clean. And so it's a really neat opportunity to do something in our community if you're interested. Thank you.
Anybody else? We're just excited because we're going to be done early and we can hardly speak. I know, but you've only got 3 minutes, so we're good. And you know, I was on vacation last time. Thank you very much, and in Florida, and got to go to Disney World. So it was wonderful. So, all right. Administration reports or additions to the agenda. Anybody? Welcome aboard. This is Tom Landau. Yes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tom, and why everybody was clapping? That would be good.
I have no idea why they were clapping.
You have 3 minutes.
It'll take about 30 seconds. My background originally was in planning. I worked for a private architectural planning firm for a number of years. Then was planning director in the city of Visalia. Came up to Chico a long time ago. Planning director there, and then city manager. Worked for the city for 26 years, most of it as city manager. I have my own consulting firm and work with both cities and private developers, and very excited to be here.
We're happy to have you. Yeah. Okay. Ruth?
I was hoping to get some budget workshops on the schedule, so can we all coordinate our calendars? How does April 10th look for the first meeting?
That's the water park and wildlife meeting in Sacramento. It's okay, I'm just giving you a hard time, but that's that day.
I have the Arts Commission that day too.
Our intention would be to have this in the morning between 10 a.m. and no later than noon.
And so how long do you think the meetings are gonna last?
No
2
more.
hours.
2 hours? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that works for me, if it's good for everyone else.
April 10th at 10 a.m.
10 o'clock?
Can we do it any earlier?
If the council would like.
8 to 10?
No.
No.
6 to 8?
You wanna do it in the afternoon, or?
I can't in the afternoon.
Well, as Councilmember Goodson said, some of us do work, so it makes it difficult.
How about 9 to 11, Janet? Would that be better for you? 9 to 11 it is. Okay.
It's compromise.
10 to 11.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what, let's look at another date. We actually have,
Well, if the afternoon does work, the Arts Commission meeting will not be taking place that afternoon. We will not be holding a meeting.
Okay.
so let's look at another day. What about the 9th? Is everybody open on the 9th? It's a Monday?
I'm having surgery that day. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So the 10th, there is a couple of things going on the 10th on my schedule too, so,
What about the 11th?
the 11th would
I'm
work?
okay.
I have staff.
That's fine.
Okay, so morning or afternoon? Morning or afternoon?
It would have to be afternoon for me.
Okay, so afternoon for me works better also, so afternoons
It's fine with me.
works better, so,
3 to 5?
3 to 5.
And what day is this now?
3 to 5.
Wednesday, the 11th.
Okay.
Wednesday.
5, well, if we just get a day, I mean a time, so afternoon 3 to 5.
Mhm.
That could be on the 11th. Did somebody say the 11th was out or in?
No, it's fine with me. How about you? Okay.
Art?
Good.
The 11th's fine from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Jack?
3 to
Okay,
5 on the
3 to
11th?
5.
Okay, so you have a budget meeting.
And for the second one, how does April 19th look? 3 to 5.
You're pushing it now.
Right. Hold on. What was that date, please?
The 19th of April.
Okay, so 3 to 5, is 3 to 5 still good?
Works for me.
Okay, so 3 to 5 is still a good time, yes?
It does not work for me.
Okay, so let's go through, so we have the 12th is the first, the 11th is the first one. You're looking for a week, at least a week?
2 weeks would be good.
A 2-week interval, so that'd be
Yes,
the
2-week
25th.
intervals would be okay. Yeah.
So, we have a 5 o'clock meeting on that day, so we could make it the week of the 23rd. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is out for 2 of us. Thursday.
What about Tuesday? Tuesday, 3 to
Tuesday
5?
would work for me.
April
if you-
24th.
Tuesday, April 24th, 3 to 5.
If we do it early in the day.
How about 3 to 5?
3 to 5 is, okay, so then pick a different day. Monday, the 23rd. If we did it on the 25th, we'd have to leave at 4:45.
We have score.
So is the 25th okay for everybody?
Yeah.
3 to 4:45?
3 to 4:45.
Okay.
On the 25th. Okay.
Next.
So there's one more. Would you like to try to schedule it now, or maybe during one of these meetings?
Yeah, let's wait,
Knock
maybe,
it out.
not
Okay.
waste the time here.
Okay. It'll probably be maybe the,
Actually, it's almost easier if we do it. Everybody's scheduled it down. We're
Right.
ending early, so.
We have our planners.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard, the
so
email
I
back
would
and forth.
suggest the week after the first council meeting, which is
So that's May 1st, is a city council meeting, so we're talking about, either the 8th.
I won't be back until the 10th.
Okay, so you'll be back the 10th.
Yes.
Tuesday, May 8th?
Well, she won't be here.
Oh, when
So
are you-
the week
she's coming back the
after the
10th.
first council meeting, so May 1st is actually, Ruth, May 1st is the first council meeting.
Yes.
So are you talking about after May 15th?
Sure.
So that gives you, I'm out of town that week.
How does
Okay.
May 3rd look?
What?
May 3rd?
Oh, you're here May 3rd.
Bill will be gone. Never mind. Oh, never.
So you're out of, when are you out of town? And do we need you're thinking we need 3 meetings, Bill?
Yeah, we're gonna need the third meeting to, we'll actually be presenting the preliminary budget at that point.
Okay, so how about May 3rd? You're in town May 3rd?
Actually, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Are you in May 2nd? Do you want to do this preparation before you leave town?
Yeah, I could have that
For the
done.
final budget? Okay, so the last meeting was the 25th. From the 25th to, let's say, May 2nd, are you in town May 2nd?
I am.
3 to 5, May 2nd?
3 to 5.
I'm gonna be out of town. I have a prepaid planned vacation I'll be on.
Anybody else have you gone too?
Okay.
Notice I looked right over here.
Anywhere, the week of the 14th would work, if we could do the 14th, 16th, or 17th.
I'm out of town that week, but you guys
The
can
14th?
certainly, yeah. Yes, I'm out
Are
of
you
town.
also gone out of the week of the 21st?
No, I'm back. I'm back to 21st.
If we could do anywhere between the 21st and the 25th.
Let's do, is the 22nd available?
3 to 5?
3 to 5.
22nd?
The 22nd of May.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Okay. All right, we've scheduled 3 annual budget meetings. I got a letter to sign.
If I
We've
could,
got,
if I could, Madam Mayor, just a couple housekeeping things I'd like to cover. The one would be is the council interested in hearing or having a staff report brought back regarding charter amendments?
well, yeah, yes, and actually Tom Landau and I were just talking about that. There's some things that he might be able to recommend for us. He's, looking over our charter and see, but,
If that's the direction the council will bring a staff report at the next meeting, because time is going to be of the essence on this,
Right.
because we have to get it on the ballot, and the council would have to deliberate that at a meeting and then advise us which direction to go. So if that's your direction, then we'll begin working with Joanna tomorrow on formulating a staff report and bringing it back, seeking the direction of the council, if that's what you would like.
I would like to see it, and it's something that continues to come up. And with Tom here and speaking with him earlier, I think there's some things that we could probably clean up.
I'd like to see what suggestions he has before we make decisions about bringing it back.
So go ahead, Tom.
I think the two probably go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So that the discussion would have a series of ideas, observations that you could react to.
And then you can bring it back again. You know.
I definitely think it'd take more than one meeting. I
Right,
think the
right.
first meeting is the introduction.
So there's also something else to add to I'll talk to you about that after the meeting. The taxes that's going on in Sacramento. I sent you an email on that. Okay. All right. Administration reports. Tom, Mr. Landau, did you have anything?
I do not, after my second day.
Ruth? Chief?
I'm only looking for any further direction on any other council items that you would like on there. If there is anything else, I would like to start changing the council meeting to this part of the council meeting being your opportunity to add those things. That way we can get the things on there you need. Council members are here if their second is needed, and we can start delivering those to you.
So the open trench document that should have been finalized several months ago, I want to make sure, because it was just a memorandum of understanding, make sure that that comes back. And I know Gary was working on that to make sure that that gets brought back. So at least that it gets part of, you know, any businesses that come to town that are doing trenches, or like the Walmart. I mean, this really started with the Walmart, that there's notifications. Now Walmart actually did notify, but we didn't have it in place that it's part of the process that they have to do that. So
are there any other items any other council members would like to have?
Well, I'd kind of like to see what the council would think about moving our non-agenda item to the front of the meeting, so we get that and people don't have to stay the whole meeting if they don't want to, and we put that right up front at the beginning of the meeting, all the non-agenda items. And that way, if the council has anything that they want, right then would be the time that we could direct staff that anything that came up that we wanted on.
So my understanding, and we addressed this once before, it had to do with non-agenda items that we're here to actually do city business, and having non-agenda items before city business wasn't really the way we should do that. And so because I question that, occasionally I will see somebody that's possibly elderly or just is coming to speak of something really simple, and move the non-agenda items forward for that. But the reality is because I had to address that before about the non-agenda items being up front. Tom, you want to weigh in on that?
It's clearly a council preference. I will say that you will be surprised from time to time with a long list of speakers that interrupt the flow of business, but it's a council call.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of non-agenda items, we have a few. You have 3 minutes, and it's still a nice evening outside. So look, the sun is still like up. Okay, John Miller, George, you're up first.
Used to that. This is my 5th visit watching the council work. And one of the high points of coming today was meeting Tom Lando. He's got a great handshake. And he's kind of the way I was before I retired from business. He wants to know what's on the agenda and get it done.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to working with him. Welcome back, Mayor. Now that the Planning Commission, I saw on the agenda for the Planning Commission last week, but I didn't attend the meeting, that they were going to approve another liquor store. And I made mention that why we have a lot of liquor stores and a lot of drunks and a lot of other problems related to alcohol, but we still don't have a medical marijuana facility. And since I've been here 5 times, I've listened, and nobody mentions medical marijuana, as if there aren't people like me that drive all the way to Oakland to get it. And so I encourage you all to stick to business. And I'd like to call on you, Mayor Dahlmeyer, to consider being an advocate for protecting children and all that stuff by making sure that the regulations do just that. I owned half of a dispensary in Sacramento, and we were death on children coming around unless they had a medical reason. And then we wanted their parents to come in with them. Recently, autism has been added to the things that medical marijuana has good effect on. Autism. My son is in biotech, and he just, as his company, just came out with a cure for hemophilia. The British government has some tens of thousands of hemophiliacs in it, and they spend $250,000 US a year on each and every one of them. So why not consider making Oroville mean something more than just water? Why not consider big ideas instead of just the day-to-day stuff? Why not bring UC Davis or UC System here for biotech? Why not get Chico University? Why not get everybody in the Butte County on board?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bobby O'Reilly. No, you're here, right? You're right here. Okay. Pastor Ed Hall.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and all the members. I'm here for, as a new business owner in the Oroville Shopping Plaza. We have a problem, not with homeless. At first I thought it was homeless, but we have some radical druggies.
Pastor Hall, can you speak a little?
All right.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
And they're terrorizing the customers that are coming into Oroville Plaza. 2 days ago, we had a guy with a purple overcoat. As an older couple, probably in their 70s, were leaving. He immediately ran up to their car, wouldn't allow them to shut their door, harassing them for money. Eventually, he was arrested later when OPD responded, and he had drugs on him. He was trying to force the drugs in the car of a woman with her children. They had to put their hands up because the officers responding had no idea what was going on. And they arrested him, but it's catch and release. So it's not really a law enforcement solution. We need help from everyone. I brought some pictures today. I'll leave with the council. But this is what we see. Buildings being burned. They leave artwork. They poop on the walls, which is a hazard, environmental hazard for our employees because someone has to clean it up. They sleep, and this is where what kind of stuff they leave behind. There's actually someone sleeping here in this picture. This is the Dollar Tree window where they broke the window of Dollar Tree when they get upset when we call the police. This is even prime time. This is about 5 o'clock in the evening when someone's sleeping outside of Dollar Tree by the news thing. There's our 2 more people I took pictures today of. And they're actually, as women are walking by, they're shouting out sexual explicit stuff to women, even with their children with them. This guy is the serial pooper. He goes around with his pants down and he moons all the shops through the window, both sides of his body with his pants down. And this is what it's leading to, empty parking lots. So as business owners, we can't collect sales tax to contribute to the city if we don't have any customers. So regardless of how much we raise our sales tax, if we have no people to sell to, we have no ability to collect sales tax and provide them to the city. We need help. It's not a law enforcement solution because of the laws of California. It's all a misdemeanor. They'll go in and they'll be cited and released, and they'll come back. I tracked this down to about 4 or 5 people in the Oroville Plaza who's creating that. And we need help. We need community resources. This is not a homeless issue. Actually, the guy that went into jail, I went down and saw him in intake, and he looked like he's a guy from Chico State. Just got in trouble for drinking. And he came back to the plaza later the next day, got the purple overcoat back on, and you know, he's acting crazy. He's making a real bad name for people who assume that he's homeless. So we need help. We need resources, and we need a plan. I'll leave this for Chief.
Yeah.
And I'll leave a copy for the council.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Who should I leave it with?
So actually hand him over to the chief and he'll.
This is both copies. And thank you for the response today.
So I heard your complaint, and Gary Lehman might have some speaking to that and see, but it's tragic.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, after our visit today and bringing it up to my attention, I did go over to the shopping center, did drive around, go through the back, Did find two that were actually cleaning up the back there that the landowners have hired to go in and clean up. I did run off a couple individuals, and I know that your staff back by the barbecue thanked me quite greatly for getting them out of there and running them out. I will see that I go through there 3-4 times a day just to do the circle to show city appearance. That kind of sometimes gets them moving, but that's code enforcement side. Our hands are kind of tied with limited staff that we can deal with, but the city's here and we'll reach out and help how we can, just doing the drive-through like that.
All right. And if I could add, I talked to each of the merchants that own shops there, and the ladies at Salvation Army are terrified. There's 3 ladies that work there, and they're getting robbed constantly throughout the day. At the end of the day, they're leaving, and somebody takes their bank bag. I believe they're on the way to prison, but all the shop owners are terrified. If they had their choice, they would leave the city, including me. I'm here by choice.
Thank you.
All right.
Kevin Driggers.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Daimler and Vice Mayor Goodson. I'm Kevin Driggers, and I'm here tonight with one of my partners, and on behalf of my partners, we want to propose a medical cannabis dispensary here in the city of Oroville. We have an executive summary that I'd like to pass out and distribute to you guys. It's got our entire plan in it, but tremendous opportunity to start bringing in tax revenue to the city of Oroville, help out the community, and would you guys like to take a look at it?
If you get it over to either the city attorney or the.
And so yeah, basically that's what we're trying to do. We basically want to get a delivery service going and kind of beta test it. I understand that you guys are currently in the process of working with a consultant to basically figure out an exact system of how it's going to work here in Oroville. And what I propose is we go ahead and start generating revenue to the city immediately while we adjust everything and come up with an effective plan. That's kind of where I'm at with this on behalf of my partners. So if you guys get a chance to take a look at that, we would definitely like to be considered to move forward. So, that's basically all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Billy Spear.
Madam Mayor, City Council, it's an honor to be here again, and I'm just here today to pray. It's such a beautiful day to give thanks. We have a lot of challenges in our city, and I look forward to being part of the city and addressing it day by day, and I look forward to seeing how we face the challenges as a city. Look forward to the faith-based community getting more involved, the average citizens getting more involved. And it was such a beautiful day, and we have such tremendous resources. We have an awesome community worth fighting for. And so, Father God, we thank you for this beautiful day that you created. We thank you for a short city council meeting tonight. We thank you for all these people who are pouring out their lives and trying to make it a better place. And thank you for our police that go into harm's way and our fire department. And when people are running out, they're running in. Thank you for the jail and the sheriffs and all that they do there to keep us safe. Thank you for our county and the city administrators there. Thank you for the schools and the parks. And Father, sometimes it looks like that darkness is winning, but we trust you, Lord. We trust you for the work that you begin in us, that you will see it through to the completion. We trust you for the victory. We trust you for the churches and for the families that have been devastated. We trust you for the homeless. You have put them at our gate for us to deal with, not to run them off to where they can't be seen, but to help them. And Lord, let us rise up. Let us see the opportunity that we have, that it is an opportunity to love, an opportunity to help, an opportunity to make a difference, or an opportunity to change the world. Father, continue to let us see the good, to let us bring the light. Continue to let us work together to be a functional city, to be a functional community. Continue to wake us up to see the work that you have for us. Continue to let the city council meetings be short. Continue to pour out your spirit in these end days. We love you. We thank you. We give you all the glory. For yours is the kingdom, and yours is the power, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Billy. Chris Saraga. And just so you know, Vice Mayor Goodson said her meeting ended before 8. I want to win. Okay?
Well, then I will try to be brief. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say that today I attended a meeting with Governor candidate John Cox, Senator Nielsen, and Doug LaMalfa. That was at the 25 County Center in the county building there. And that was in opposition to SB 54, which is the California State Sanctuary Bill. That bill shatters one of the key components that people in law enforcement work on, and that's cooperation. It makes it so that the state has made it so that the ICE is not allowed to get any information from the local law enforcement. There's a lot of opposition to this. That includes Orange County Sheriff, Los Alamitos, which I always say wrong, and Huntington Beach, with Huntington Beach also joining in a lawsuit with the federal government against this law. This is a matter of following federal law, and state law is not supposed to go before federal law. In this case especially, immigration has always been handled by the feds, always. Our nation is made up of immigrants, but legal immigrants. So that is something that this meeting showed, that they want to make sure that we know that it's not about race, color, creed, or anything like that. It's about being here legally and following the rules to get here. I would like the council to consider joining in this opposition with the other places in the state and the growing opposition that's going there. I believe that may be on the agenda next time, so I would like you guys to just kind of get that thought in your mind for the next meeting. So that's all I have today. Thank you very much, and I will see you at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Matt Murray.
Yeah, Matt Murray. I'm here to kind of talk just a little bit from DWR's perspective. Today, many folks, maybe some of you yourselves included, were notified by DWR that this big storm coming in, as everybody prayed for rain, I guess, and we got enough. And we're up to the point now that this next storm is actually going to get us really close to that spillway. So we wanted to be proactive, let everyone know that we're considering it. We're still at least a week away. We don't have the details because we have to wait for the rain to fall for us to kind of really, or at least get closer to it to really eyeball what we're going to be facing. But today the lake's at about elevation 794. You'll remember that the spillway gates, the base of them is at 813. So we're still even below the gates. But if we start getting up into the 820s, 830s, then I would definitely start expecting us to be, ramping up more and more communication. You'll see more and more notices from us, and then obviously it's going to, I'm sure, get picked up by media outlets. So anyway, just trying to give you guys a heads up, make sure you guys are aware. Again, it shouldn't be alerting. We do have the spillway usable at this point. Everything's out of there. Kiewit's been completely cleared out. There's nobody in the way. So if we have to turn the gates on, we can. So, but we're cranking up Hyatt. So flows are going up a little bit in the river. I worked with Chief Legrone today just to make sure that, we actually went down there also, Chief, but to try to make sure that nobody was down there in the low flow section on the big island or anything down there. So just trying to make sure the river's only going to come up a little bit. Most years this wouldn't be anything normal or out of normal, but anyway.
So I want to, because I did get that piece of communication and I read it very carefully, and it was well written, and I have to say that it was nice to be able to get that piece of communication early and well written without a lot of technical information in it, so it can actually, I read it before I got here, and I could have repeated everything that you said almost precisely, because it was to the point. It gave information that if you needed more information very clearly, to call this number, and so it was well done.
I can't take credit for writing it. I just helped disseminate it, but I will pass the word on. I'm glad you guys liked getting it early. They wanted to send it at 6 a.m. We advised them not to send it at 6 a.m. So you got it at 8.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Are you having a meeting on Friday about this?
Yeah, I have a cooperators meeting that I believe I sent an email to some of you, or I think probably all of you. I don't know if I have Jack or Art's emails. So,
okay.
But I think I sent it to the rest of you guys.
Okay. Thank
Please
you.
pass it on to Jack and Art if you guys would like to attend.
Matt, I have a quick question for
Sure.
you. You said that Kiewit is essentially finished.
No, I did wanted to be clear.
Misunderstood.
Kiewit is not inside the main spillway right now. They've been, for the most part, they've been out of that area during construction for the last couple of months. But we wanted to make sure that there were literally nothing in there. They had a couple pieces of equipment. They were doing some drilling and some other oddball things inside the chute. We got everything out. So.
At what point would people be allowed to walk on the dam again, do you think?
Right now they're looking at, I think, summer of 2019. So it's Kiewit is in that whole area, and we have quite a bit of rebuilding on some roads and some of the access. So we're still looking at kind of summer. So that's the latest. I don't know, Leroy, if you have any other update beyond that. That's about. It's still pretty preliminary. We haven't actually finished the design for the new access road and some of those things that have to get done. So a lot of logistics.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Mary Barr, and this is the last non-agenda item speaker, so we'll be done after this, and I'll...
We need 3 more.
No. There's no more.
You're wrong.
Oh, no.
Hey.
Hi, thank you. And forgive me if I misspeak regarding law enforcement or anything. So regarding Ed Hall and the businesses that are there, I think it's unfortunate that that's happening. There's a community-oriented policing program that had been active many years ago and still is actually really great. You cite the people and you keep citing them and you keep citing them and you keep citing them. And then potentially you might be able to get a restraining order on them.
Can you speak a little closer?
Potentially you might be able to, if the businesses wanted to get a restraining order on them. I don't know. They'd have to seek it out. But it's possible to be very aggressive with people that are hanging out and pooping on your wall and peeing and leaving garbage. You just have to really kind of think outside the box, and it's possible.
Exposing himself.
Forgive me, I know that probably Oroville is very low on staff, so I don't want to speak out of turn. It's my 3 minutes. So anyway, I know that that's possible. So, and I hope that is able to they're able to do that for those businesses.
All right. Thank you. Pastor Stephen Terry. Stop.
Yes.
I just needed to make one comment to the mayor about your comment about Vice Mayor Goodson. If you want to have your meeting go long, just have a bunch of preachers come out.
Yes.
What does it mean when a minister says, and in closing?
5 times.
Absolutely nothing. I really wanted to to address something that it keeps coming up, and I pretty much try and stay quiet about it most of the time, but we have a problem. Now, the Oroville Rescue Mission is not in the city limits, but the decision of what we've already done to go forward with cannabis is already causing a problem for the mission. Not only are we getting people coming on to our property bringing marijuana all the time now. They are aggressive, they are belligerent, they are causing multiple problems for us, because now they're saying, oh, but it's the law. Oroville has passed it and California has passed it. We're going to have dispensaries here. Well, can I tell you? I don't care what the law is. Private property. It'll never be allowed on our property. But this is causing us problems, and we are the people that are dealing with the addiction problems. I speak not only for me, but I speak for other programs too, and we're all beginning to experience this problem. This is what cannabis is doing. I'm not going to get into fighting the battle between medical and recreational. I'm not going to go there. I know people that are on medical. They get the medical right now. What we're doing is we're looking into bringing more problems into this city, because just the action that the council has taken has already caused problems to increase. And that's what we're dealing with. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to continue to get worse, and it's going to continue to happen. It's not going to go away for the mission, and it's not going to go away for other people that are running programs in our town. It's not going to, it's just going to increase. That's what's going to happen with this. So whether you believe me or not, I'm still the guy in the trenches, and I'm still the guy dealing with it. And so that's, and when I retire, there's going to be somebody behind me that's going to have to deal with it. That's what our actions are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item this evening?
Please.
Seeing none.
I have something that's a non-agenda item that I would like to mention. There is a Fairness, Transparency, and Accountability Act of 2018 that's being circulated. If this is passed, it's going to absolutely devastate cities and counties. I urge you all to read it, because it takes away the ability of cities to do things like charge parking fees, to levy taxes, and it limits our authority to bring revenue in, and it's retroactive to January 1st, 2018. So anything that's been passed after that is null and void. This includes things like parking fees, building permits, local sales tax, judicial fines, penalties, regulatory fees, utility tax, or even if it results in revenue loss, and it definitely will for cities. So please read it and get an idea of what it's all about before you sign it.
So it's a Tax Fairness
Yes.
Act?
It's Tax Fairness, Transparency, and Accountability Act of 2018, and it's not transparent, accountable, or fair. They're sneaking up another 13 on you where corporations don't pay property taxes the way you and I do. It's to help corporations. It's not to help individuals.
Marlene, do you have some of the supporters?
Yes. Wells Fargo, Albertsons, KB Homes, Blackstone Group, Chevron, Farmers Insurance, Granite Construction. These are all corporations, huge corporations.
No.
It's a petition that they're trying to get enough signatures to get onto the ballot. So please read it.
Okay. So this meeting is adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, April 17th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. closed session. I won.
No.
Well, I would
Now,
count,
Mayor.
I would count the number of items that were on the agenda. And since I went over the agenda knowing I was on vacation, there was only like 4 items on the agenda
Your
last
winnings.
time.
Your winnings.